When I woke up the morning of August 14th, 2020, I had no idea that was the day that would actually wind up changing my life. Completely overwhelmed with work and my emotions and mindset frayed from quarantine and the events of 2020, I just knew I was on the verge of a breakdown. That afternoon, I packed a bag, threw it in my car, and just started driving. I drove until I could drive no more, and wound up in Key West, Florida. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do for the next couple of days, but I knew I had always wanted to go to the dry Tortugas, and so I went with no plans at all. Ever wake up in one city and decide you want to go to sleep in another? I did today. So you know what? That's exactly what I'm doing. Taking a much needed mini vacation. Any guesses as to where I'm heading? I will give you a clue in just a moment. As I drove, I prayed over the discontent I'd been feeling in my life. My real estate career was blossoming, but at the expense of my personal life. I barely took a vacation, rarely dated, or saw friends. I couldn't help but feeling that this little trip was going to be the beginning of something amazing. Well, it had an interesting start. So, I made it to Key West. Barely. I had a bit of an issue getting my kayak off of my car and flung the bungee cord back in my face. And now I have a giant welt above my eye and just might be sporting a black eye the rest of the trip. But I'm here, mostly safe and somewhat sound. Yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad or too painful. While I had been sharing my vacation, I had a friend reach out to me the night before, and she was so inspired by my impromptu trip, she decided to join me. So she drove through the night while I enjoyed some kayaking the next day and she napped. Then we met up for dinner, and it was awesome to have her join me. So you go and take a little spontaneous vacation, and then a friend spontaneously drives through the night to join you.
Exactly! Hi, everybody!
Yay! Mallory Square, all the entertainers. And here's where we're having dinner. Ooh, they're delivering our rum runners. I need to go get that. We're at, I don't remember the name of this restaurant, but it's Margaritaville. While enjoying dinner and sunset on Mallory Square, I explained to Dawn how I had tried to book us a trip to the Dry Tortugas the next day. However, both the ferry and the seaplane, the only two options to get there, were both booked for the next couple of days. So I had put us on the wait list for the seaplane, and we could try to get on the ferry by getting up early and waiting in line if there was a cancellation. We decided to go ahead and do that, and then, during dinner, my phone rang, and there had been not one, but two cancellations on the seaplane. We were stoked. We were in. We couldn't believe our good fortune, but hey, God is good, and He was blessing this trip. And so we enjoyed the rest of dinner on Mallory Square, an absolutely gorgeous sunset that night, and toasted to the enjoyment of a day together, spontaneous vacations, and looked forward with anticipation to the next day in the Dry Tortugas. There is only one word to describe this day: epic. It was phenomenal, and taking the seaplane and going with a friend made my dream of going to Dry Tortugas National Park that much more amazing. Plus, we had incredible weather. There was absolutely no wind. The seas were totally calm, and visibility was the best that it had ever been. With little boat and air traffic during the quarantine of 2020, the seas were just clearer than they had ever been before. So we took advantage of all of that and had just a truly amazing day. It was so cool to fly out of Key West and then over the Marquesas Islands in this little plane with commentary telling us all about what we were seeing as we flew over it. We could see sunken ships and sea life, and then there was the highly anticipated water landing, and we got to see Fort Jefferson flying over it and see and feel and hear that plane land on water, which was just unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I was so excited to be in the dry Tortugas because I've always wanted to go. This is one of the best snorkeling and diving locations in the world, and I could not wait to get in the water and swim around with all of that colorful wildlife under the sea. And we finally were getting to do it. Upon landing, as much as I wanted to get in the water immediately, we decided to first take a little time to walk around the fort and take some pictures. We opted to not do the tour with a guide because it was pretty long and we wanted to have more time in the water actually. But I really wanted to get pictures, and so did Dawn, and we thought it would be better to get pictures before we got in the water and were all wet and covered in salt. And knowing me, I may not get out of the water. Climbing up the dark, creepy staircase in the fort. Dark, creepy spiral staircase. It doesn't look so dark when it's on the video. It's like you can see your feet in front of you here. Step right there. And we finally figured out how to get up a level after we've walked around the entire fort. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Where's that water? Here it is. Check that out. You can't, there we go. Like, you can't see the water. Oh. So pretty. And we're about to jump in and see all the fishies under there. Right, Dawn? And jump in. Dawn's never been snorkeling like this.
No, never been snorkeling in at all.
At all? Oh, I thought you had a little bit. Nope. Just not like in the Caribbean with colorful fishies and stuff.
Never.
Oh, this is so cool. We had a riot taking photos because we kind of turned it into a photo shoot and just had so much fun with it. And then after we were done with that, we finally got in the water and donned our snorkeling gear to join the underwater world of those colorful fish and plants and sea life. And it was just so beautiful and everything that I had ever hoped that it would be. And all too soon, we had to get out of the water, head back to the seaplane, and make our way back to Key West. The takeoff was just as interesting and fascinating and fun as the water landing, and then we still had amazing weather with no wind, flying back over the Marquesas and that unbelievable turquoise water and sapphire skies that haunt my dreams as we made our way back to the airport in Key West. That night, Dawn and I spent a little bit more time together before she had to leave the next day, and I decided I actually wanted to try to go back to the dry Tortugas again, if I could. Unfortunately, there was not another cancellation, but they did tell me about a charter for a sailboat that the same operation runs that had snorkeling at an amazing reef that was just as good as snorkeling as the dry Tortugas, and kayaking. So, the best part, I got to bring Zobi with me on the boat. Didn't have to leave him at home this time. So I decided to book that, and then Dawn and I went out that night and enjoyed a wonderful evening with shopping and dining and experiencing all that Key West has to offer, and one last amazing Key West sunset. Snorkeling, which was amazing, and now we've been sailing and had lunch, and we're heading to a sandbar and beach with some islands where we're going to go kayak. This day on the sailboat was just one of the most joyful, happiest days ever. The weather was amazing. Blue skies, no wind. The captain took us to a reef that they normally don't take this trip to because the weather was so calm and the seas were so incredibly visible and clear blue that they were able to not actually have to burn any more gas to go out to the reef and an island that they don't normally go to on this trip. It was so beautiful and amazing. Doing just a little bit of last kayaking as I head home. That's the bridge I just went over. Driving out of Key West, look how glass calm the waters are, and all these little mangrove islands, and the water is so clear you can see the bottom everywhere. I just had to throw the kayak in probably going to throw it in a couple of times as I head north through the Keys. I'm in Sugarloaf Key right now, about 20 miles north of Key West, and having a blast still. I don't want to go home. Well, my next stop was going to be Bahia Honda State Park, and I pulled in and thought about it and was like, I don't really feel like paying the state park fees when I'm probably only going to be here for an hour or two. Plus there were some storms kind of off in the distance. So I drove a little bit further north and found this little park slash beach right before the 7 Mile Bridge. That over there is the start of the 7 Mile Bridge. So we are going to go kayaking here. Check it out. That last day, I meandered my way up through the Keys, stopping to kayak and for a waterfront lunch with one last piece of key lime pie, of course. And then, as I drove back, I realized just how calm and peaceful I felt for the first time in a long time. I thought back over the weekends, and I prayed, listened to worship music, and thanked God for reaching my heart the way He does when I spend time in His creation. I vowed that day to stop sacrificing my quality of life, my peace, my relationships, and most of all, my closeness to God for career and success. Little did I know just how much the Lord would speak to me in the coming months about just that. How I would feel the call to slow down, to simplify, to travel, and to share God's creation with those who can't experience it themselves through the written word, photographs, videos, and my God-given artistic abilities. I never would have imagined on that August day in 2020 that only 1 year later, I would have sold my condo and most of what I own, referred most of my clients to other agents, and be living in an RV traveling the country. And it all started with this spontaneous vacation to the Keys.